The Pacific Northwest doesn't fear hurricanes or tornadoes. It doesn't even really fear blizzards or heat waves. It fears silence. Because silence is the sound the ground makes right before the largest earthquake in North American history begins. Beneath Oregon, Washington, and Northern California, there's a fault line that hasn't moved in over 320 years. But that's not because it's safe, it's because it's locked, storing up pressure on the scale of a thermonuclear weapon. When it finally ruptures, it won't just vibrate like the quakes in California. It will tear the entire continent open, from Northern California all the way up to Vancouver Island, in one continuous, unstoppable motion. This is the Cascadia failure line, and when it breaks, the Pacific Northwest won't just suffer a disaster. It will suffer the collapse of its modern civilization. Let's look at the geology that guarantees this event. Cascadia is what's known as a subduction zone, where one tectonic plate, the Juan de Fuca plate, is diving beneath the North American plate. But here's the problem. They aren't sliding smoothly. They are completely stuck. Every single year, the oceanic plate pushes about 4 centimeters inland, and every year, the North American continent refuses to budge. The pressure just builds, and builds, and builds. Historically, this fault ruptures every 300 to 600 years. The last time it happened was on January 26, 1700. It was so powerful, an estimated magnitude 9.0, that it sent a tsunami racing across the entire Pacific Ocean, hitting Japan about 10 hours later. We're not just within the window for the next one. We are well past the average recurrence time. Cascadia isn't overdue. It's just waiting for the right second. When it goes, it won't be like a standard earthquake that breaks at a single point. Scientists believe Cascadia will break like a zipper, unzipping along a 700-mile rupture. This will trigger a magnitude 8.7 to 9.2 earthquake, with violent shaking that lasts for 4 to 6 minutes straight. The ground itself will drop by 4 to 6 feet in an instant, permanently erasing coastal elevation. This initial rupture alone will cause catastrophic damage. Bridges from Portland to Olympia will collapse. A phenomenon called liquefaction will turn the ground in artificial fill districts into quicksand. Refineries along the coast will ignite, and massive landslides will cut off Seattle, Tacoma, and the entire I-5 corridor. This isn't an earthquake story. This is a story about what happens when an entire corner of a country shuts down. The Cascadia subduction zone. You've heard the name, but you haven't seen the real failure map. The problem isn't the shaking. It's what breaks because of it. First, the rupture itself. Imagine this. From Portland to Olympia, bridges just disappear. Across the region, the ground turns to liquid in a process called liquefaction, especially in areas built on artificial fill. Along the coast, oil refineries ignite, sending fireballs into the sky. And in Seattle, Tacoma, and along the vital I-5 corridor, hillsides give way, burying everything below. But that's only the beginning. Let's look at the real failure map city by city. First, Portland, with over 2 million people. Its lifeline is its bridges. 12 major ones will be compromised or gone. The east side of the Willamette River, built on soft ground, will liquefy. The massive fuel tank farms along the river will rupture and likely ignite. Water mains will break citywide. With I-5 impassable, Portland won't be a city anymore. It'll be a collection of isolated islands of survivors with no water, no power, and zero way to move people or supplies. Next, Seattle, home to 4 million. Seattle's biggest weakness isn't water. It's soil. Much of downtown is built on unstable fill, which will behave like quicksand. The Port of Seattle, a critical gateway for the entire country, will be destroyed. Hillsides will collapse into homes and streets. Tunnels will destabilize. The power grid won't just flicker. It will overload and die instantly. Seattle will become an island, unreachable by land or sea. Then there's the southern corridor, Tacoma and Olympia, with over 1 million people combined. Their port and petroleum infrastructure will be obliterated. In the narrow inlets, the shaking will create localized tsunamis, powerful backflows of water. The critical military base corridor will be compromised. Bridges across the lowlands will fail. For the first 72 hours, this entire region will be completely ungovernable. And that's before the real wave hits. For the 250,000 people on the coastal strip, the tsunami arrives in 10 to 20 minutes. It won't be one wave. It will be a series of relentless walls of water, each stronger than the last, reaching heights of 30 to 80 feet. Towns like Seaside will be completely flooded. Cannon Beach will see structural wipeouts. The Long Beach Peninsula will require total evacuation, but there won't be time. Westport will become an island. Coastal highways will simply vanish. It's not an evacuation. It's a desperate, chaotic migration inland. Let's timeline the first 72 hours of the system failure. In the first hour, the power grid collapses. Bridges fall. The cellular network is gone. Tsunami sirens, if they even start, will fail mid-warning. Within 24 hours, Portland's river will be on fire from ruptured fuel tanks. Emergency services will be completely overwhelmed. Airports, their runways cracked and useless, will be closed. Coastal communities will be wiped from the map. By hour 72, 2 to 3 million people will be without running water. Hospitals will start losing their backup power. The supply chain for the entire Pacific Northwest freezes, as 40% of its imports arrive through these now destroyed ports. Military response from neighboring states will be severely delayed. This isn't just a big earthquake. This is a regional shutdown. So where is safe? Let's talk survival geography. The new centers of the Pacific Northwest won't be on the coast. They'll be inland. Think Bend, Oregon. High altitude, stable ground, and its own independent water source. Spokane, Washington, with its functioning airports and military-ready infrastructure. The Tri-Cities area, a high desert plateau with a low population. Eastern Oregon and Washington, where the high desert means minimal infrastructure failure. And the northern Idaho corridor, shielded by massive elevation and logistically independent. These places become the new spine of the Pacific Northwest. Cascadia doesn't fall because cities crumble. It falls because every single system that supports modern life breaks at the exact same time. If you want to understand collapse science without the fear-mongering, just the maps, the data, and the truth, subscribe to 0 Hour Atlas, because in our next episode, we're mapping one of the most unpredictable collapse triggers in America. When Mexico City sinks, how fast do 10 million people reach the US border? This is 0 Hour Atlas. We don't predict doom. We map what survives. Thanks for watching.